While the world was speculating and hating on her every move, Hailey Bieber quietly built and sold a billion-dollar brand. That's not a storyline, that's not a headline, that's strategy. In the middle of hate, headlines, and constant comparisons, she chose focus. And not the kind of fake focus that just looks good on paper. I'm talking about real, unshakable, grounded discipline. She didn't tweet back, she didn't spiral into commentary. She built Rhode and then sold it for $1 billion. So today, we're breaking that down. Not Hailey's life, but the mindset behind that kind of tunnel vision. And more importantly, how you can do it too. Because staying focused in a noisy world isn't just about isolation. It's about vision, boundaries, and a kind of inner clarity that no headline can take away from you. Chapter 1. Focus begins with vision. Focus is useless without a target because you can't hit a target that you can't see. Like, have you ever tried to focus on a camera on too many things at once? Like, you're zooming in on a tree, but then there's a person walking and there's a dog behind the person, and then somehow all three just end up blurry. That's what unfocused ambition looks like. We want to be healthy, rich, creative, loved, popular, all at once, and then we wonder why we feel so exhausted but still so stuck. But vision, that changes everything. Personally, if you've watched my videos before, then you would know that I'm someone with a lot of goals and a lot of big ambitions. I'm currently working a 9-to-6 job that I worked very hard to break into this industry for. I'm trying to build my personal brand on here as well as create content for my YouTube and my TikTok. And I've also just recently started building my own clothing brand. And I don't plan to stop chasing any dreams anytime soon. If you're new to chasing your goals or to self-development, you might be wondering like, how the heck is that all possible? And the one answer that I can give to you is focus. It might sound like I'm going down a lot of different paths right now, but what I actually did was just choose the 2 to 3 major goals that I know I absolutely need, not even want, but need to focus on in order to feel accomplished and for me to feel fulfilled. And then I staggered the time in which I started each of them throughout the beginning of this year. And if you're wondering why I decided to stagger the starting time of these goals, I recently just uploaded a video just about this exact topic. So if you're wondering about that, I'll leave the video up on one of these corners and you can click on that. If you're interested on how to build focus and discipline while being multi-passionate, this video is definitely for you. So yeah, these goals were the ones that I knew were so important to me, and I knew that without a doubt that I had to make time in my schedule for them. When you decide, not just wish, but when you decide what your goal is, your energy starts organizing itself. Your time gets sharper and your mind stops running around in circles. It's not that the distractions go away, it's just that you finally have a reason to ignore them. Chapter 2. Discipline gets easier when the destination is clear. Discipline is not about grinding your soul into dust. It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. just because some guy on a podcast told you to. Discipline isn't about misery or forcing yourself. Discipline becomes sustainable when it's anchored and fueled by purpose. Hailey didn't just avoid the drama. She chose brand building. Not just once, not just twice, but daily. In every piece of content, in every appearance, in every product decision, she wasn't reacting, she was executing. In other words, she prioritized growth over drama. Because you have to get this, every single person you know is going to have a different version of you in their minds. There's no 2 exact same version of you that exists in 2 different people's minds. So can you imagine how different the versions of you would be in millions of people's minds? Much less the minds of people who have absolutely no idea who you are, people who have never met you, people who have never spoken to. These thoughts are negligible. They only exist in the minds of the people who think them. They do not affect how you really are or how your heart is. Hailey understood this. She knew that she was building something much bigger than herself. That all this talk of who she was exactly that, just talk. and she channeled all that attention, made sure she worked her butt off, and focused on her business to deliver the best and most viral results, which led to this billion-dollar acquisition. And that kind of consistency doesn't come from hustle culture. It comes from knowing exactly what you're building, from having a vision so real that the idea of wasting energy on strangers' opinions feels laughable. Want to wake up earlier? Tie it to your mission. Want to stop doom scrolling? Give your time a purpose again. Discipline doesn't come from shame, it comes from direction. Chapter 3. Obstacles become workarounds. Here's a truth I wish I'd learned earlier. If your goal is strong enough, you will find a way. Over, under, sideways, backwards. If you really want something, you'll get creative with the route. But when you're not emotionally invested in the outcome, every roadblock just feels like a dead end. If the goal belongs to you, challenges will feel like detours. Okay, so this might be the funniest example that anyone has ever given, and it's also a bit personal and might be a little bit vulnerable. But before I started focusing heavily on my goals, so basically the last few years, I would always need to take a nap on the weekends. And I don't even think you could call it a nap. I would literally wake up at 9 to 10 a.m, go back to sleep at like 2 to 3, and then wake up at 6. So that's literally like my whole day just dedicated to sleeping. I just always felt so exhausted and sleepy. So when I started this journey of being the best that I can possibly be, this was one of my biggest obstacles. I thought to myself, there's no way I can change this. What can I do if I am genuinely feeling tired and need that amount of rest? I have to recover somehow. Well, honestly, once I started working on my goals, I just didn't feel that tired anymore. Sure, it felt a bit weird the first 2 weekends, but once I got into the rhythm of sitting at my desk and doing work from 2 to 6 and just focused on getting my work done, the sleepiness just kind of faded away. And it's June now, currently at the time of this filming, and I have not taken even one nap as of 2025. Except for maybe that one time when I was sick and went to lie down in the middle of the day. But even then, I don't think I actually fell asleep. Me, the girl who has slept every weekend away, has not taken one nap in 2025. Now, I'm no scientist or sleep expert, but I'm pretty sure that me napping and feeling tired was just my body's way of keeping me safe in a familiar, boring feeling, and a way to just pass my time without going out of my comfort zone. And I was able to finally break out of this cycle by having a strong emotional link to my goals that I literally just snapped awake, metaphorically and literally, and realized that I just had to make this change if I was serious about achieving my goals. Without that emotional link, obstacles become excuses. Criticism, lack of motivation, bad news, all of it just becomes a reason to quit. The difference with people who stay focused isn't that they have it easier, it's that they have a clear enough vision that obstacles are just detours, not reasons to stop. You have to reframe obstacles as tactical routes that stands between you and your goal. You don't give up on something that you truly care about. You just reroute. Chapter 4. The power of protecting your energy. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means knowing what you want and protecting the energy that you need to get there. Let's clear this up. Focus doesn't require isolation. It requires protecting your energy. You don't have to disappear into a self-improvement cave and just ghost all your friends for 3 months to be successful. The whole winter arc trend, it's cute, but in real life, you need balance. You can still hang out, you can still laugh, you can still enjoy your life. You just need boundaries. And boundaries are not punishments, they are filters. They help you filter out negativity, distractions, toxic conversations, performative friendships, and yes, even internal hate. Hailey is literally a celebrity, a social media star, an influencer. You really think she or anyone on the team had no idea what people were saying about her online? And this was not, oh, she was spotted at here and here on Saturday. No. These were actually very mean statements and accusations. I saw everything from her being a homewrecker to arranged marriages and her being in a cult and all that sorts of really degrading speculations. I'm pretty sure she was aware of what was going on, but Hailey didn't isolate. She just didn't engage. That's a difference. You don't have to explain yourself when you're building something that speaks louder than your words ever could. Chapter 5. The content diet that builds focus. Let's talk about what you're feeding your mind. Because just like how junk food affects your body, junk content affects your attention span. Think of focus like a muscle. Every time you switch tabs, check TikTok's mid-video, scroll without intention, you're weakening that muscle. Meanwhile, the people you admire, they're not just disciplined with their time, they're disciplined with their inputs. Hailey's feed wasn't filled with drama replies. It was filled with her product, her campaign shoots, her team. That wasn't accidental. That was strategy. And honestly, that is some of the most amazing, effective, intelligent techniques that I've ever seen. Because what screams louder than girl boss, it girl, main character energy, than opening your phone and your feed being filled with people raving about your brand's new photo shoot or launch, or preparing for your next product review. Surely goals. Because while everyone else's feeds are filled with drama about other people, yours is literally filled with the brand that you built. Your content diet needs to reflect the kind of life that you're wanting to build. Slow, focused content sharpens you. Deep conversations, long-form videos, books, podcasts, those are the salads and whole grains of your mental nutrition. Every scroll is a vote. So what are you voting for? Chapter 6. Mental clarity comes from less, not more. Here's a wild idea. Maybe the problem isn't that we're distracted. Maybe the problem is that we're overstimulated. Like our brains have been hijacked from tiny dopamine hits from constant novelty. And we've just forgotten how to just be. One of the biggest mindset shifts I've tried to make is by introducing boredom. Yup, you heard that right. Ever since I've started building my own clothing brand, I've been wound up extra tight. Every minute has to be looking for inspiration. I need to settle the logo today, I need to settle that today. But this constant state of rushing and doing literally led me nowhere. It was only when I had to take a step back and literally tell myself that I cannot be operating like this 24/7 that I finally found some sort of progress. Now, instead of always scrambling and looking for new ideas as if there's ever a shortage of inspiration, I just sit down with no distractions and just draw whatever I want whenever I want. Because how this goal started in the first place was that I wanted a creative outlet for me to be able to use my gifts and talent of creating art. And by constantly rushing it and expecting it to be perfect, well, art is never perfect. I now leave space for just nothing, to just be alone with my thoughts. Showers without Netflix or music, long pauses between tasks. That's when the real ideas come. Because when your mind gets quiet, it starts to speak. And what it says might surprise you. Chris Bailey calls this state scatter focus. That in-between mode where your mind wanders and connects the dots in the background. It's how creative insights form, it's how clarity reveals itself. It's how Hailey Bieber built a billion-dollar business while everyone else was dissecting Instagram comments. Chapter 7. Make it personal. Focus looks different for everyone. It means designing habits around your goals, not copying someone else's routine. You don't have to copy someone else's habits, their routine, their timelines, especially if their life goal is totally different from yours. Focusing on yourself means building your own playbook based on your values, your life stage, your priorities. Maybe your focus season involves getting healthier. Maybe it's launching something. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's learning how to rest without guilt. Your winter arc might not look like Hailey's, and that's absolutely okay. There's no one right path, but there is your path. And it becomes much clearer the moment you stop comparing it to everyone else's. Chapter 8. Boundaries over burnout. You don't need more discipline. You need fewer distractions. We glorify self-control like it's this superhuman trait, but the most focused people I know, they're not stronger. They're just more intentional. They don't make 50 decisions a day on whether or not to scroll. Just delete the app. They don't constantly justify every hangout. They protect their mornings. Boundaries are how you honor your focus. They're how you keep the promise to yourself alive. Because every no to something meaningful is something yes to something deeply personal. Once you define what your boundaries and success looks to you, it becomes easier to filter advice, ignore haters, and to stay productive. When Hailey sold Rhode for $1 billion, the world had no choice but to shift the narrative. Because she wasn't reacting, she was delivering. And that's what happens when you're guided by vision. Everything else just fades. The noise, the hate, the confusion, none of it matters when your direction is solid. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, unfocused, discouraged, ask yourself this: do I know what I'm actually working towards? Because if you don't, no habit tracker, no productivity hack, no Notion template is going to fix that. Start with the vision. Everything else becomes much easier after that. Focus is a lifestyle. It isn't just about discipline alone. It's about knowing your why, feeding your mind intentionally, building a content diet that energizes, not drains, giving yourself silence to think, setting boundaries that protect your mission, and letting your work, not your reaction, be the loudest message. Hailey didn't win by being loud, she won by being focused. And if you're ready to do the same, not just block out the noise, but build something that makes the noise irrelevant, then now's the time. Start small, start today. Vision, boundaries, consistencies. I have lots of videos if you need any help with any of these already published to my channel, so you can feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in. Remember, stay focused, you got this. Until next time, take care of your heart, your mind, and your dreams. I'll see you in the next video very soon.